Are you holding back because you're afraid of doing it wrong? You're not alone. A lot of older men feel like they're walking a tightrope when flirting with younger women, unsure how to be charming without being cheesy, confident without crossing a line. Sound familiar? Maybe you've hesitated to compliment her, worried it might come off the wrong way. Maybe you've sensed a spark but didn't know how to fan it without blowing the whole thing up. Or maybe you've just assumed she'd never be into someone your age. That hesitation, that second guessing, it's costing you real connection. But here's the truth. Flirting isn't about games or gimmicks. It's about presence. It's about knowing your value and expressing it in a way that feels natural, respectful, and yes, even irresistible. In this video, you're going to learn how to flirt like a seasoned man who knows exactly what he brings to the table. Not by chasing, but by drawing her in. The payoff? Confidence, clarity, and connections that go far deeper than small talk or swipes. So let's break the mold and build something real. Confidence is powerful, but pressure is a repellent. Imagine this. You're at a cafe and she's seated 2 tables away. You lock eyes briefly, she smiles. You smile back. Now what? Most older men either freeze up or go full steam ahead, complimenting her dress, asking for her number, pushing the pace. But here's the problem. That intensity doesn't create attraction, it crushes it. You want to be a magnet, not a megaphone. Instead of flooding the moment, pull back slightly. Let curiosity do the work. Make eye contact. Hold it for just a second longer than usual. Then return to your coffee like you're perfectly at ease. Maybe later, pass by and ask something light about her book or her drink. Keep it breezy. She'll feel your energy, but without feeling chased. Why does this matter? Because mystery builds desire. When you don't force the connection, you allow her to lean in. Lead with calm, not speed. That's how you set yourself apart. Confidence whispers, it never shouts. You don't need flashy lines when your stories speak volumes. Let's say you're both attending a small art show. Instead of hovering or trying to impress, you casually mention a trip you once took to Italy, how a painting reminded you of an afternoon in Florence. The espresso, the smell of rain on cobblestone. You don't brag, you invite her into a moment. Suddenly she's leaning in, not because you're trying to win her, but because your presence is magnetic. You're showing, not telling, that you've lived a life worth sharing, that you're a man with stories, not just statistics. Younger women crave depth. They're drawn to men who've navigated storms and still know how to enjoy the sunrise. That sense of calm, earned wisdom, and relaxed storytelling, it's rare. And it's deeply attractive. So don't try to impress with flashy accomplishments. Let your lived experience speak through subtle, rich moments. She'll feel it, and she'll want more. Sometimes the loudest message is the one you don't speak. Picture this. You're seated across from her at a quiet lounge. The music hums, conversation flows. She makes a witty remark, and instead of rushing to respond, you pause. You smile. You hold her gaze for just a beat longer. Maybe you raise an eyebrow, tilt your head slightly. No words, just presence. That's flirting at its highest level. Older men have an edge here, when they use it, because you've lived enough to be comfortable in silence. You don't fill every second with noise. You let tension breathe. Eye contact, body posture, a subtle lean forward. They all communicate something stronger than any pickup line ever could. Interest, confidence, and self-control. Why is this powerful? Because younger women are flooded with words all day long. What cuts through the noise is a man who can say everything without saying a thing. Flirt with your presence. It's often more powerful than your voice. Forget flattery. Aim for depth. Let's say you're walking side by side after dinner. She says something clever or thoughtful, and you turn to her and say, "You know, I really like the way you think." Not in a performative way, not with an ulterior motive, just a calm, sincere statement. Watch her face light up, because here's what most men do. They compliment her looks, her smile, her body, things she's heard 1,000 times. But when you notice her mind, her values, or the way she shows up in the world, That's when you stand out. A younger woman doesn't want to be reduced to appearances. She wants to feel seen, and when a confident older man notices her character, her humor, or her passion, it hits differently. Genuine compliments are rare, and rare things are unforgettable. Lead with sincerity, she'll feel it, and she won't forget it. Want to be the man she keeps thinking about? Then stop relying on dinner and drinks. Instead, imagine this. You invite her to a quiet jazz night at a tucked-away spot she's never heard of. Or you suggest visiting a quirky antique bookstore because you remembered she mentioned loving old maps. Suddenly, this isn't just another date, it's a story. It's a moment she tells her friends about. This is where older men can shine. You have the life experience and creativity to plan things with purpose. Not for show, but for connection. Why does this matter? Because younger women aren't just looking for someone who talks well. They crave experiences that feel different. And if she feels something unique when she's with you, she'll associate that feeling with you. Memories beat money. Every time. Craft moments, not performances. That's how you become unforgettable. It's not about price, it's about precision. Let's say weeks ago she mentioned a book that changed her life. You don't say much at the time, but later you find a vintage edition, wrap it simply and hand it to her with a quiet, "Thought you might like this." That kind of gesture, it lands like thunder. Most men try to impress with flashy jewelry, designer bags, or over-the-top dinners. But you're not most men. You listen, you remember, and then you act, not to impress, but to connect. Why does this work? Because thoughtful gifts show emotional presence. They say, "I see you, I heard you, you matter." And that's rare. That's meaningful. That's attractive. When you give with care, not ego, you create moments money can't buy. Be the man who remembers the little things. She won't forget you. Touch is powerful, but only when it's earned. Imagine you're walking side by side after a fun evening. As you cross the street, you lightly guide her by the small of her back. Not possessively, not forcefully, just enough for her to feel your presence. Or maybe she laughs at your joke, and you gently touch her arm for half a second. That's it. Nothing more. And yet, that's everything. Older men often fear touch, worried it'll be misread. But the secret isn't in avoiding contact altogether. It's in timing, respect, awareness. If she leans in, touches your shoulder, or initiates closeness, that's your green light. But even then, your approach should feel natural, not strategic. Why does this matter? Because when done right, respectful touch builds safety and intimacy. It sends one clear message. I see you, I respect your space, and I'm here. Calm, grounded, and real. Let your touch speak without taking. When the timing's right, your presence will do the rest. It's not about the drink, it's about the gesture. Picture this. You're at a cozy bar and she's nearby. You approach with a relaxed smile and ask, "Can I get you something?" Or would you rather choose your own? It's confident, it's polite, and it gives her control. See, buying a drink shouldn't feel like a transaction. It should feel like a door opening. Too many men make it awkward, either too aggressive or too vague. But when you make the offer with ease, no pressure, and genuine warmth, it becomes something else entirely, an invitation, not a move. Why is this powerful? Because it shows that you're generous, but not trying to buy her attention. You're leading with intention, not expectation. Remember, younger women don't want to be impressed. They want to be considered. Asking her preferences? That's you showing thoughtfulness. That's attractive. Buy the drink. Offer the choice. Let your class speak louder than your wallet. Flirting doesn't need to be serious to be meaningful. You're both talking about something silly, maybe a terrible movie you both secretly enjoyed. You crack a dry joke. She laughs, then teases you back. For a moment, it feels effortless. That's the sweet spot. A lot of older men overthink. They try to sound wise or profound every time they speak. But here's the secret. Playfulness is powerful. When you show you can laugh, tease, and keep things light. You tell her, "I'm confident enough to have fun. I don't need to prove anything." Younger women are drawn to men who can stay grounded while still being playful. That balance, it's magnetic. Why does it matter? Because laughter lowers walls. It invites her in. It builds connection without pressure. And when she laughs with you genuinely, you're already halfway to her heart. Flirt with wit, tease with charm. Let fun be your ally. Here's the truth. She doesn't care how much you've done if you never ask what she dreams of doing. Let's say you're having coffee and she casually mentions a passion project, a photography course, a dream trip, something that lights her up. Most men nod and steer the conversation back to themselves, but you lean in. You ask, what draws you to that? And then you listen. That moment, that's intimacy. Younger women are used to being talked at. When a mature man slows down, listens deeply, and shows genuine curiosity about what moves her, that's a rare kind of attention. It's not performance, it's presence. Why does this matter? Because when you connect to what matters to her, you become more than attractive. You become safe. You become unforgettable. So don't just talk, invite, explore, care. When she feels heard, she'll want to keep talking to you. If you want to win her trust, learn to respect her world. Imagine this. You're at a casual dinner and her friends are there. Instead of staying glued to her side or trying to impress, you take a genuine interest in them. You ask questions, share a story or two, and most importantly, you listen. Soon they're laughing, they're comfortable, and she's watching. You're not just charming her anymore. You're showing her that you're comfortable in her world and that you're not just here for a fling. You're showing social grace, emotional maturity, and authentic interest in what matters to her. Why is this powerful? Because younger women are deeply influenced by how their close friends perceive you. And when her friends like you, it's like adding gasoline to a spark. So be warm, be respectful, and remember, you're not courting just her. You're entering her orbit, win her world, and you win her heart. Connection grows in shared motion, not just deep conversation. Let's say instead of the usual dinner date, you suggest a salsa class, or a hike, or even trying out an unusual food truck she mentioned once. Suddenly, the moment becomes alive. There's laughter, movement, spontaneity, and through it all, you're not just getting to know each other, you're experiencing each other. Older men often default to calm, predictable dates. But here's the truth. Fun fuels chemistry. Younger women are drawn to men who make life feel light, not heavy. Why does this work? Because shared activities create shared memories, and memories build bonds. When she thinks of the man who made her laugh while trying to dance, she'll think of you. So step outside routine, invite adventure, even small ones. Be the man who brings joy, not just wisdom. Here's the edge older men have if they choose to use it. You're on a date. She shares something vulnerable, a fear, a frustration, a dream. You don't jump to fix it. You don't minimize it. You just nod, listen, and say, that makes a lot of sense. Calm, present, unshaken. Younger men, they often panic in these moments. But you breathe through it. Emotional intelligence means you're aware, not reactive. You read the room. You sense her mood. You give space when needed and lean in when it matters. That maturity, it's rare, it's grounding, and it's sexy. Why does this matter? Because younger women are often surrounded by boys pretending to be men. But when you are a man, emotionally attuned, grounded, aware, she feels safe, seen, valued. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, and presence is the real aphrodisiac. Flirting isn't just about charm, it's about showing up when it counts. Let's say she's had a rough week. She mentions feeling overwhelmed at work or doubting a decision she made. Most guys might say, that sucks, and move on. But you pause. You look her in the eye and say, I've been there, and you're handling it better than you think. You offer strength, not solutions, reassurance, not control. Younger women aren't looking for someone to fix everything. They want someone who can hold space, who can say, "You're not alone," without making it about himself. That kind of presence, it's grounding and incredibly attractive. Why does this matter? Because when you become her emotional anchor, even briefly, you shift from flirtation to trust, from chemistry to connection. Be the man she can lean on, not just the one who makes her laugh. Support deepens attraction, quietly, powerfully. Style isn't about chasing trends. It's about reflecting self-respect. Picture this. You walk into the room wearing a tailored jacket, crisp shirt, clean shoes. Not flashy, not loud, just sharp. She notices. Not because of the brand, but because of the message. This man knows who he is. Too many older men let their style fade into the background. They assume charm alone is enough. But here's the truth. Grooming, posture, and well-chosen clothes say one thing loudly. I still care. Younger women pay attention to detail. Your cologne, your beard line, whether your clothes fit well or just hang there. These small things, they separate the average from the unforgettable. Why does this matter? Because taking care of your appearance doesn't just signal attraction, it signals value. You value yourself, and that gives her permission to value you too. Dress like the man you respect, and she'll respect and desire you even more. You don't need to tell her who you are. Let her feel it. Let's say you're in conversation and she mentions a problem she's dealing with. You don't boast about how many times you've solved something similar. Instead, you calmly share a story, one that reveals your integrity, your patience, or your humor without saying, "Look how great I am." That's the power of subtlety. Younger women are constantly surrounded by loud declarations and hollow confidence. But when a man quietly shows who he is, through his tone, timing, and truth, it lands deeper. It's the difference between someone trying to impress and someone simply being impressive. Why does this work? Because true strength doesn't beg to be seen. It radiates. And the more subtle your strength, the more she leans in to discover it. Let your actions speak. Let your stories teach. Let your presence reveal. She'll notice, and she'll admire it. You're not trying to compete. You're showing a different league entirely. Imagine this. She jokes about your dad music playlist. You don't get defensive. You smirk and say, "That's what real lyrics sound like." You're not embarrassed by your years. You wear them like a tailored suit. And that confidence, it's magnetic. Too many older men try to hide their age, coloring their hair, mimicking slang, forcing youth. But younger women aren't drawn to youth. They're drawn to power. And nothing's more powerful than a man who's unapologetically himself. Why does this matter? Because embracing your age tells her you're not clinging to the past. You're thriving in your present. It signals experience, perspective, and strength she won't find in someone her own age. Own your story. Every wrinkle, every lesson, every victory. Because when you stop running from your age, she starts chasing your wisdom. The difference? Presence over performance. Let's say you walk into a room. You're not the loudest, you're not bragging. But when you speak, people listen. When you smile, it's deliberate. When you move, it's with calm control. That's real confidence, and she feels it. Arrogance pushes to be seen. Confidence lets itself be found. Younger women are hyper-aware of ego. They can sense a man trying to prove himself from a mile away. But when a man knows who he is, owns his space, and doesn't chase approval, she notices, and she respects it. Why does this matter? Because confidence builds trust. It relaxes her. It tells her, "I've got this, and I don't need to shout about it." Lead with quiet certainty. Be grounded, be kind, and never try to impress. Confidence isn't volume, it's gravity. Clarity is your advantage. Use it. Let's say things are going well. She's texting back, showing interest. This is where younger guys start playing the "wait 3 hours to reply" game, or try to make her jealous. But you keep it real. If you're interested, you say so. If you're not, you're respectful. Director, grounded, and guess what? That's rare and incredibly attractive. Younger women are used to confusion, ghosting, mixed signals. When a man comes along who's honest and emotionally consistent, it stands out like a lighthouse in fog. Why is this powerful? Because it makes her feel safe, and safety builds intimacy faster than charm ever could. Say what you mean, follow through, respect her time and your own. You're not here to win points. You're here to build something real. No games, no confusion, just clarity. Sometimes attraction starts before you even speak. Picture this. You're standing at the bar, one hand in your pocket, spine tall, shoulders relaxed. You're not fidgeting. You're not hunched. You're still, calm, present, in command of your body. She sees you, and something about your posture says, that man knows who he is. That's power without words. Body language speaks before you do, and younger women read it fluently. When you slouch, avoid eye contact, or shrink yourself, it says, I'm uncertain. But when you stand tall, move deliberately, and look directly, without staring, you radiate confidence. You project energy, not dominance, presence. Why does this matter? Because posture isn't just physical, it's psychological. It tells her how you feel about yourself, and whether you can hold space for her too. So take up your space. Stand like you belong, because you do. One smirk can say what 10 compliments never could. Imagine this. She teases you playfully, maybe about your music taste or your dad jokes. Instead of defending yourself or over-laughing, you just raise one eyebrow and smirk. Not a grin, not a forced smile, a confident, knowing, I see you kind of smirk. Boom, tension, chemistry, spark. The smirk is powerful because it suggests you're in control of the moment, of yourself, of the energy between you. It's playful, not arrogant. It says you're flirting without trying too hard. You're letting her know you enjoy the game, but you're never desperate to win it. Why does this work? Because it taps into flirtation through energy, not words. It's subtle. It invites her to lean in. It creates a shared moment only you two are aware of. A good smirk holds mystery, and mystery pulls her in. Master that smirk. Use it wisely. Attraction isn't just about words. It's about energy, and energy needs space. Let's say you're sitting at a lounge. Most men fold inward, arms crossed, shoulders hunched, legs tucked. But not you. You sit with relaxed confidence, shoulders open, arms resting naturally. You occupy space without apology, without arrogance. That presence, it radiates. Taking up space isn't about dominance. It's about signaling that you're grounded, comfortable, and unshaken. It tells her, I belong here, and I don't need to shrink to make others feel comfortable. Why does this matter? Because energy is contagious. When you're comfortable in your own skin, she can relax into hers. You create room not just physically but emotionally. You invite her in. So stretch out, stand tall, walk with purpose. When your body says, I matter, the world and she listens. It's not about grand gestures. It's about quiet attentiveness. Imagine this. During your second date, you casually bring up something she mentioned the first time. Her favorite poet, the childhood nickname her family still uses, that obscure tea she loves. Her eyes widen. She smiles, not because of what you gave her, but because you remembered. That's what makes her feel special. Younger women are surrounded by noise, guys who say whatever they think will impress. But when you're the one who listens, tracks the details, and weaves them back into the conversation with subtlety and care, you stand out. Why does this matter? Because feeling special isn't about being showered with gifts. It's about being seen. And when a man sees her, not just her looks but her mind, her quirks, her heart, she lets him in. Small gestures, sharp memory, true presence. That's how you become unforgettable. The most attractive men don't just flirt, they uplift. Picture this. She's venting about self-doubt, maybe something a colleague said, or how she's second-guessing a big decision. You don't jump to fix it. You don't drown her in compliments. Instead, you calmly say, from what I've seen, you're sharp, thoughtful, and stronger than you give yourself credit for. She pauses, because it lands. You've just done what few men do. You made her believe in herself more. Building her up means validating her mind, not just her beauty. It means seeing her potential even when she doesn't. And it doesn't take a speech. Just the right words, at the right time, with real conviction. Why is this powerful? Because it shows leadership, emotional strength, heart. And when a man becomes a source of confidence in her life, attraction deepens into something even stronger, trust. So be the man who reminds her of her own worth. She'll never forget how you made her feel. Flirting for an older man isn't about pretending to be someone younger. It's about being someone real and letting that authenticity speak louder than any line ever could. By mastering these steps, subtle cues, deep listening, thoughtful actions, and grounded confidence, you become more than just charming. You become magnetic. You show her a kind of connection she rarely experiences from men her age, one rooted in maturity, respect, and presence. No more guessing games. No more playing safe or staying silent out of fear. This is your roadmap to confidence, clarity, and meaningful attraction. And the best part? You don't need to change who you are. You just need to own it with style, intention, and grace. Because when you flirt like this, she doesn't just notice you, she remembers you. Now that you know how to flirt with depth, presence, and confidence, it's time to go further. If you want to master how to read her cues, build trust faster, and know exactly when to make your move, don't stop here. And if you found value in this video, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. What flirting tip hit home the most for you? We read every single one. This is elderly life where experience becomes your edge. You've got this.